We're almost there. We're almost done. I promise. Okay. Before I get started, I just want to let everybody know that this balloon will be popping at some point in my speech. So if you have a fear of loud noises or anything that stands out like that, I again will not be offended if you need to go. Okay, so first, I want everyone to look around the room really quick. Look at the people that are sitting to the left of you and the people that are sitting to the right of you. Look at the people behind you and then the people in front of you. And then look back at me. Now, no, this isn't an Old Spice commercial, but did anyone notice anything different? Anything stand out to you guys? Anyone look like they're struggling with something? Anything? No? I mean, I'm looking at you all right now. You all look fantastic, by the way. But I'm looking at you all right now, and you all look pretty normal to me. You know, some of you look slightly entertained. Some of you look really confused on what's going on. And you look like you just received a text from your mom. Hi, Mom. How are we? Good. Perfect. All right. So now let's look at these two balloons. They look the same, right? You know, just ordinary balloons you buy from Walmart. You see, but this one is slightly different than this one. So this balloon is filled with paper. For the people in the back can't see, this balloon is filled with paper, and this one is not. This one is a lot more weighted down than this balloon. But again, from the outside, they look exactly the same. Now, what if I were to take this balloon and stack a bunch of stuff on top of it? What's going to happen? It's going to pop? You're all looking like, yes, Megan, obviously a balloon's going to pop if you put a bunch of stuff on it, and you're right, it will. The balloon's going to pop. You see, this describes perfectly what my phases of anxiety are. I've had anxiety my whole life. It's not something I necessarily like to say that I struggle with, because I hate saying that I struggle with something that I can't completely fix, but it is. Anxiety is something I've struggled with growing up, and it is something that I still struggle with today. So let's get to the first phase. The first phase is simply just the balloon with paper inside of it. This is what I would describe as my constant. A lot of people who don't have anxiety struggle to understand what people who do have anxiety feel like. And that's because they don't understand the constant. You see, the constant is a constant feeling that somebody has who has anxiety, and it doesn't go away. You know, this is a feeling that I feel every single day when I wake up, when I go to class, when I hang out with my friends, as I'm giving this speech. This feeling truly never goes away, and it's not caused by a triggering event that I put myself into. It's simply just there all the time. So when we move on to the second phase, this is when we stacking the stuff on top of the balloon. So when you stack stuff on top of a balloon, clearly it's going to pop. This is how little life-altering events, or not life-altering events, small events can be life-altering to people with anxiety. A lot of times these are little things that happen throughout my day that, you know, really wouldn't bother any of you guys, but can really bother me. And it's kind of hard for people to understand what that's like stacking. So I think the best way for me to describe this to you guys is to give you a little rundown about what happened when I was a kid. So before, let me just explain who I was. So that's me. My forehead's still huge, so that's great. But it's me. Growing up as a kid, you know, I was the biggest rule follower. And simply because, no, it wasn't that I was a tattletale or, you know, a goody two-shoe. No, I was a rule follower because I had the fear of upsetting somebody. I could never upset anybody, and I would never get yelled at, and the best way to not upset someone was to follow every single rule, so I was in the clear. I didn't have to do anything. Another thing about me is that I never could sleep over at anyone's house. Never made it through the night. I missed every single birthday party. And that was because I was absolutely terrified that if I was gone and something were to happen to my family, that I wouldn't be there to help them. So of course, you know, leaving for school adds a little bit more to it's harder for me to leave for school than it is for everyone else. Another thing is that I had a strict schedule and a strict routine, and if anything that wasn't in my routine was now there today, my entire day would be thrown off. Or if something that is in my routine wasn't there today, my entire day would also be thrown off until the next day when I could restart again. So these little facts about me will probably give you a better idea about why this day occurred. You know, this was just a normal day that happened. It was kind of an eye-opening day for my parents that maybe Megan's not nervous, maybe there's something else wrong, but that's perfectly fine. So you know, this day started off pretty normal. I woke up, I got ready, ate my microwavable pancake, and then the bus came a little bit earlier than usual, just a little bit. And instantly I run out the door or panicking that I'm going to be late and miss the bus, and questions suddenly come flooding through my head. Why is the bus late? Why is the bus early today? The bus is never early. The bus comes at 8:36 every single day, and it's 8:34. What is going on? Something's bad. Something's happening. What if there's traffic? Oh, what if there's traffic? Or what if there's traffic and that's why he's early, so we're not late to school, and oh, this is bad. Something's wrong. Something's going to happen. And as these questions are flooding my head as I'm running across the street, I realize I forgot to say goodbye to my mom. I forgot to give my mom a hug goodbye. And for most of you, you're like, okay, so what? Great. No, for this chick, horrible. Absolutely terrible. How dare I forget to say goodbye to my mom, which is totally fine. It's really not a big deal, but for me it was. So of course, more questions start flooding my head as my hands are sweaty. And oh my God, how could I forget to say goodbye to my mom? I've never once forgot to say goodbye to my mom, and today I did. Oh my God, the bus came at 8:34 today instead of 8:36. Why did the bus come today at 8:34? Traffic. There has to be traffic. Oh gosh, and I'm stepping on the bus, and I'm walking down the hallway, and I realize someone's in my seat. Someone's in my seat, seat 7, and now I have to sit in seat 9. Why is someone in my seat? And as my eyes are watering and my hands are shaking, why is someone in my seat? I sit in seat 7, and now I have to sit in seat 9 today. And the bus came early, came at 8:34 today instead of 8:36, causing me to forget to say goodbye to my mom. And I've never once forgot to say goodbye to my mom. Today I did, and this is all for something bad, something's wrong, something's gonna happen. Oh my gosh. Oh, and as I'm adding all these things on, and my heart's racing, and I can't calm myself down. I pulled my beanie over my eyes, and I just let the bus take me to school, hoping that nothing else could go wrong. And as I get off the bus and I walk to the school, I realize that the teacher that typically greets me at the door wasn't there today. More questions. Oh God, why is the teacher not there today? What if he's sick? What if his kids are sick? What if his wife's sick? Oh my God, he has a pet. What if the dog died? Oh God, what if the dog died? Oh my gosh, so in my seat 7 and I just sit in seat 9 today, and the bus came early, came at 8:34, causing me to leave and run out of the house and forget to say goodbye to Mom, and I've never forgot to say goodbye to my mom. And oh God, this is bad. And my eyes are watering, and my hands are shaking, and my stomach's slipping, and my heart's racing, and I simply don't know how to calm myself down. And I realize as I'm walking down the hallway, nothing else can go wrong today. Nothing else. I have all of these weights stacked on top, and simply nothing else can go wrong. Right? No, wrong. Of course something else has to go wrong. And I'm walking down the hallway, and I realize that the desks are rearranged in the classroom for an activity we were participating in that day. And I was like, oh, more questions. Oh my gosh, my desk, where's my desk? What if I have to sit next to someone I don't know, and then I have to talk to them, and they don't know me, and then I have to introduce myself, and the teacher's gonna ask me all these questions, and I'm not gonna know how to get up from my desk to go answer the question because, oh gosh, and there's all these other things happening, and the teacher was there, his dog might have died, or he was sick, or his kids were sick, and I sit in seat 7, seat 9 today instead of seat 7, because someone is in my seat 7, and then, I forgot to say goodbye to my mom because the bus came at 8:34 today instead of 8:36. Oh my God, this is horrible, something's bad, something's happening, this is terrible. And as I'm sitting in my desk, trying to calm myself down, my heart's racing, my hands are sweating, I have my beanie again pulled over my eyes so no one can see that I'm crying because I don't want anyone to ask what's wrong. If someone asks what's wrong, someone asks what's wrong. And my heart's racing, and I'm praying to God no one asks me what's wrong, and I'm praying that the teacher simply doesn't popcorn me the answer to answer the question. But of course, she did. Popcorn! I popcorned Megan. Megan McIntyre broke the beanie over her eyes. Come on, go right on the board. Oh, God, okay. I got it. I'm trying to calm myself down. My hands are sweaty and I'm fine. I'm gonna write it on the board. Write it on the board. And let me give you a little rundown. My elementary school was clearly not up with the times, and we had a chalkboard that you'd pull up and you pull down. But of course, the chalkboard had to be up, so I had to go ahead and pull it down, right? Right, So I get up there and I go and I'm reaching up and I pull the chalkboard down. As I'm pulling the chalkboard down, it completely comes off the hinges, falls in half, snaps in half. And I broke it. This leads to my third phase, where the balloon was supposed to pop, but this is my third phase. This phase is the breaking point, or the anxious breakdown. A lot of the times, it's going to take me a while to come back from any traumatic experience or anxious breakdown that I have. It'll take me a couple days, just like it would take me a while to clean up all of those pieces of paper, unless there wasn't it was in a jar. That's why I put it in the jar, so it would work. Anyway, so it'll take you a while to clean all that up. So moving on from my story, as I completely broke the chalkboard in half and off the wall, I ran out of the classroom, heart racing, start sobbing hysterically, and I projectile vomited all through the hallway, and the only questions that were in my head were, oh my God, I just broke the chalkboard, my teacher is mad, my classmates are now mad at me because they're not going to have a chalkboard right on for who knows how long, because I don't know when they're going to fix it, and I threw up on the floor, and the janitor's mad now because throw up everywhere, and he has to clean it up, and that's not what he wants to do on his Monday morning. And then my parents are mad at me too because they always say, you know, I didn't make it to the trash can, and I didn't. I didn't make it to the trash can, and I made it on the floor. So what's gonna happen? As we move on from this, in the anxious breakdown, the nurse comes running down the hallway. She's asking if I'm all right, and I'm like, clearly I'm not all right. I threw up on the floor, nurse. She'll take me to the nurse's office. She'll take me to the nurse's office. She's like trying to calm me down. Can't calm me down. It takes a couple days to calm me down. You can't just give me a cold sponge and tell me to go back to class. It's horrible. So of course she has to call my dad. My dad has to drive all the way from work, pick me up from school, and ask me, what happened today? Well, you know, everything. Everything happened today, Dad. And as we're sitting in the car, we get home. It took me a couple days to come back from just simply breaking a chalkboard in half. You know, just like it would take a while to clean up all these pieces. Anxiety isn't necessarily something that I am, like, proud to say it is something I am proud to say I struggle with, but anxiety, like, when you look at me, you have no idea that I have anxiety. And a lot of people say, oh, man, I have no idea. You look pretty normal to me. And you're like, yeah, because you can't, yeah, this is, like, you know, obviously, like, you know, that's the one. Anxiety, right here. Face of it. Look at her. Look at that smile. No, you obviously don't know. So, like, it does, but it does. And I have anxiety, and it takes up a huge part of my life. Just like, but, you know, since it did take a huge part of my life, like, I'm proud to say that I've had it for this long because now I know how to remove myself from any anxious situation that I'm put in. And I know how to handle myself better when I put myself in anxious situations. And if I'm, like, feeling a little funny, I'll just take myself out. And it's perfectly fine most of the time. All right, so I want everyone to look around the room again. Everyone look again. If you've ever struggled with a mental health illness or anxiety, please raise your hand. All right, wow. Okay, so there are about 120 people in the room. 1 in 5 people struggle with a mental health illness. So again, raise your hands one more time. Don't be embarrassed, it's okay, I mean, hey. Don't be embarrassed. So if 4 hands are raised, there's about 120 of you in here right now. That should be 24 hands raised. Clearly my statistic is wrong because if you raise your hands one more time and look around again, there are more than 24 hands raised. So I'm first going to say to the hands raised, hey, what's up? Welcome back. That it's not your fault. It's okay. And to take care of yourself, you know? Take care of yourself. If you feel these weights adding up, take them off before you pop. And you know, when you pop, and you all know you're going to pop. You're going to break at some point. But when you do, have a quick cleanup in balloon terms, or just have a strong comeback. And the people whose hands weren't raised, we can raise our hands one more time. Look at your friends. I know you all came with friends. Look at these people. These are people that you spend a lot of your time with. If you see these weights stack up onto them, tell them politely, of course. Maybe, hey, take it off. Like, let's help them take the weights off. And, you know, if you can't help them, and they don't want your help, which most of the time we don't want your help. But be there and support your friends. And okay, if you tune me out for the last, I don't know how long I've been up here, but if you tune me out, I want you all to tune in right now for the last, like, 4 sentences of the speech. Take care of yourself. Take care of others. Speak up if you need help, and speak out when you receive it. Thank you.
We've all been here for about an hour or two now. I have no sense of time, but time for me to take her home. So I am not, or try to. I am not a member of the business school. I am not a member of the Schey school. I am essentially someone they found outside and said, well, he seems like he knows what he's talking about. I don't. So today we're going to be talking, oh, by the way, media major, specifically games and animation. So today we're going to be talking about something not related to pretty much anything. Today we're going to be talking about immortality for beginners. So we're starting with a little spot the difference. We all know him. He was the only person who ever wrote a musical, if you ask anyone outside of musical theater. This is Lin-Manuel Miranda playing Alexander Hamilton. Now you're going to tell me the difference between this man and this man. Raise your hands. Anyone got one? Yep.
That guy's dead.
Alexander Hamilton is also dead.
They're talking about the actor.
I guess I'm playing a little bit. I mean, The Rock is still alive, if you ask me, and Lin-Manuel is still alive. So, anyone else? Gonna try to stump me? I practiced this a million times. All right, go.
That's a rock and that's a person.
I'll give you that. Anyone else?
Facial hair. That guy has it.
Yeah, you're right. He's got some good facial hair. You'll get some good facial hair. Well, the good news is, despite those minor differences, mostly aesthetic, can I just say? They are basically the same person. Please let me explain. Now, when we're talking about Hamilton, we are talking about legacy. It's inseparable. I mean, right here, God help and forgive me, I want to build something that's going to outlive me. Next line, legacy. What is a legacy? I mean, that's just on the nose. These are both from Act 2. This is Room Where It Happens. This is The World Was Wide Enough. Two show enders, two standouts from the thing. Everyone remembers this. And this musical came out a few years ago. I honestly forget, maybe 5? Sounds about right. Now, this right here is the last paragraph from the last tablet of Gilgamesh. Just to give you a quick rundown of Gilgamesh, Gilgamesh is the story of the king of Uruk, who travels to discover immortality after watching his friend Enkidu die. And he fails in his quest. It's the first epic ever recorded, and it's very interesting to me for that reason. I'm going to read you the very last line, and well, quick rundown. He takes his friend Oshinabi to the walls of the city of Uruk, shows him his beautiful city, which, by Bronze Age standards, everyone isn't dying, so like, pretty good city, actually. And the very last line is, he went on a long journey, was weary, worn out with labor, and returning engraved on stone the whole story. I was raised on reading the Odyssey in my freshman year, where I'm pretty sure either that or the Iliad, I forget which one, oops, I'm not much of a Greek guy, ends with him taking an arrow and shooting it through the eye of like a million other things, and then slaughtering an entire room of his wife's suitors, and then he victoriously takes back the throne of his country. And this ends with, I got really tired and I wrote it down on a rock. Good night, my name is Gilgamesh. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. So, what is the theme that has been chasing us since year 2000 BC, roughly, and maybe 5 years ago? Everyone dies, and we can do literally nothing about it. Sorry to bring it down. Now, on that chipper note, we're going to move to away from Hamilton and towards Gilgamesh. Sorry, I know that a lot of you would rather talk about Hamilton. I will try to make this interesting. When we're talking about Assyriology, one of the people at the forefront was Edward Schey. He was an Italian Assyriologist, as it was called at the time. A lot of controversy. And he wrote this book, this book was based on his speeches, called They Wrote on Clay. And this got me interested in Assyriology because I picked it up by chance while I was researching for a project. So just take a look at this and know that it came out in 1938. Keep that date in mind, take a good look at this, we will return to that. So this is an idea that Schey hit a lot, the idea of the imperishable document. When we're talking about Mesopotamia, we are talking about clay scooped up from the banks of the Tigris and the Euphrates River, and we are talking about it being rolled flat. They take a reed stylus, tick, 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 tick. You're putting in the cuneiform script. So you can actually see a little bit. We'll see some better examples later. The thing about these clay tablets is they are very hard to destroy. When we talk about paper, which is what pretty much every other civilization ever has used, some form of paper for their recording, we talk about a material that it degrades with time, it can get waterlogged, it can burn. Now, when we talk about the clay tablets, that is all either going to not have an effect or make it stronger, because a clay tablet does not rot with age. A waterlogged tablet, detailed earlier in this chapter how to fix that. Fire, good news about clay and fire, it helps. Now, that brings us here. This is tablet V, and by that I mean 5. Sorry, checked my formatting and got a little mixed up there for a second. Tablet 5 of Gilgamesh. And just take a look at this document. Take a look at this intricate little cuneiform. You can see a big crack right here, crack down the middle, chip right here. In high school, I was once told that the beginning of modern history is year 0. 0. Take the beginning of modern history, year 0. Go to today. Imagine that great expanse of time, that incredible, the rise and fall of civilizations, wars that have wreaked more horror, and the greatest discoveries of mankind. Double it. That's how old the document you're looking at is. Isn't that incredible? We can read this. When you read, there's a quote, when you read, you see into the mind of someone else. We are looking into the minds of the hands that rocked the cradle of civilization. Now look back at Edward Schey's book. Oh, oops. Great read. But look at this. Water damage. You can see where the ink is fading here. You can see that it's held together with tape on the spine. When you open the book, you have to hold the pages in with your thumb because the pages pop off of the spine. This thing is dying and it's about 75 years old. This, we can read this, and it is 4,000 years old. I don't know about you guys, but that blows my mind. Now, that brings me here, and my formatting got a little messed up, but Shehiru Darutu. This is something that I translated myself. It took a lot of work, and I really hope that I got it right. It means the little immortal, in Akkadian, which is what Gilgamesh is written. And so now, with the idea of the little immortal in mind, which I will get into more later, look at this. This is our moral from earlier. Everyone dies, and we can do literally nothing about it. But apply the idea of Shehiru Darutu, little moral. Everyone dies, and we can do literally nothing about it. Except for create literally everything ever. Some of the effect of this slide is lost because that part got cut off. However, these are tablets. Think about your least favorite class. Think about the dumbest class you've ever had to take. For me, it was a plant biology class. Now, if I imagine that I walk out of this plant biology class, I'm so glad that I'm not in this plant bio class anymore. I take my notebook and I throw it off to the side. It gets buried in the mud and I'm like, finally I'm free of it. Now, by some miracle, this notebook gets buried in the mud and preserved, and then it's dug up 4,000 years later and interpreted by a bunch of scholars who spent their whole lives poring over my garbage that is, honestly, God, mostly doodles. Now, imagine if they took that information and pieced together a rough sketch of our society from X, Y, and Z. That's what we're doing here. Writing was invented for bureaucracy. Most of these are records of trade. Most of these are records of land sales. When we do have epics recorded, one, usually a political ploy, and two, we get most of the fill-ins of the chips and the cracks from mistakes. Novice scholars who are writing them down on little balls of clay that when they mess up enough, they eventually throw aside. And by some miracle, they get preserved. So another thing that Edward Schey hits a lot is, this is what you want to find on a site, on a dig. This is what people want you to find on a dig. Lamassu, cool, big statue, whoa, what does it mean? The standard of Ur, maybe a little less impressive to the average person, but still pretty cool. Or this, the head of an ancient goddess. Oh, look into her eyes, she is unknowable. But here's the thing. Because of these boring, bureaucratic tablets, we know the name of the ruler that erected this statue in front of his palace. Because of these boring trade documents, we know the name of the ruler that is standing there. I think it's right here, this guy right here. Please don't fact check me on that. But someone on there is the ruler, and somehow we know his name despite the fact that he lived in Ur, which, for the record, came before Uruk, even earlier. Because of these tablets, we know that this is the head of Inanna. Inanna was the patron deity, kind of the goddess of Uruk. She plays a central role in the Gilgamesh story. Because of this, because of documents, we know that this could very well be the very statue that the real man Gilgamesh is based on knelt in front of and prayed to. That connection to something that we could never understand, gotten through bureaucracy, gotten through all of that stuff that's not very fun to look at but is fascinating at the core. That brings me back here. Shehiru Darutu. We are all little immortals. Raise your hand if you have ever physically put anything into the world. Every single human being should raise their hand. Come on. Wake up. Every single human being has put something into the world. Good news. You're going to live forever, maybe. Because there is always the off chance. We do not know how our effect on the world echoes forward. It goes endlessly. When we create, when I write, when I draw something, when one of you creates a business, when somebody writes a book, when somebody stands up in Athens, Ohio and talks about Gilgamesh, there is the strange off chance that just like those reeds pressed into the clay, we will last forever in some inscrutable little way. That's what I want you to remember. To become the little immortal, create. Create anything. Create a business, write a book, create a family. Take a rock, scratch your name into a tree. And there is the chance that someday someone will see what you have made, completely contextless maybe, but they will know that you were there, and for that second, you will be alive again. Thank you.
All right, guys, we officially made it to the end. We are going to do some raffle ticket winners while our judges deliberate on our winners. And so basically how it's going to work, we're going to pull it out of the jar, and then you get to come pick the prize. All right, so to announce the 8 prizes you guys have the chance of winning, we have the hand-drawn poster of the city of Athens, the free by an artist, not us. Don't worry. That's the prize. We have a free night stay to OUN, 5 free tickets to DPDO for a calzone or salad if you're on a diet. We have a gift card to Best Buy. We don't know how much. Could be $5, could be $100. You'll see. And then we have a $25 gift card to Tractor Supply Company, some Frog Ranch salsas. We all love salsas. 4 dozen cookies for those of you that aren't on a diet. I saw some people perk up. And then Twizzlers. All right, actually low in calories. Pick the first winner. Yeah. Eric Morris. Those are the 5.
It's all yours.
All right, second, Nathan Riley. He's gone, then he doesn't get it. The next second person, Justin Kelly. He's downstairs. Oh, there he is. Justin, come on.
Good job, Justin! Justin!
All right. And Soba. Natalie. All right. Fourth winner. Alex Smith.
Tractor Supply!
Alex Smith again. All right. We've got some really high prizes left, so really want to make sure these are mixed. All right. For either salsa or Twizzlers, we have wrap. Which one's to pick in?
Tractor
Natalie
Supply.
Soba again.
Salsa!
All right, judges, do you still need a little time to deliberate? All right, so if we could have all of the speakers come on stage, we'll announce first, second, and third. just a minute. Some anticipation.
You guys did great.
I almost talked about Dolly Parton instead of Gilgamesh. Is that anything?
You're so right, dude. I could find something.
Does the audience have any questions for our speakers?
Oh, you're just.
Oh, I think that's your questions. You have questions for our speakers? You have them in front of you. Pick their brains.
We're so scared.
Dr. Rapp.
I have a question for our first speaker, Gaggy. In your fear challenge, what was the scariest thing that you did?
Honestly, it was the spoken word poem, just because I had always wanted to do it, and it kind of built up in my mind that it's just this crazy thing that I was never going to be able to do. And so getting up there, and especially since that person was in the audience, like it really, it pushed it to another level. We'll just say that.
Heck yeah. Any other questions before we announce the winners?
Ryan, who's your favorite director?
All right. So third place, please give a round of applause for Emily Deering.